This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Jared Carthalion, true heir, versus Athreos Shroud Veiled, Kenrith the Returned King, and Stangg. Don't often see Stangg in the command zone. I think that's looking pretty good. We can get down Kodama's Reach. Oh, we need green, don't we? Ugh. I am going to risk that one. If we get into green, we can go Wild Growth on turn 1. Watch us rip a forest off the top here. No, unfortunately not. We do get into a land at least. So maybe we have to just limp our way up to Smothering Tithe. Well, there's a Sol Ring on turn 1 from Billy Kills. I think he got a turn 1 Sol Ring the last game we played as well. And the turn 1 plays continue. Wayfarer's Bauble from GoGo. We've got a couple of patrons that we're playing with here. Stangg being piloted by Billy Kills. GoGo Batman is on Kenrith. And then we've got a random playing Athreos here. Well, Gift of Immortality, that could be useful. We just need to get into another land. Like I said, preferably a green, but any other land will do for the Smothering Tithe. Well, the luck seems to be better for Billy Kills anyway. Cultivate on turn 2. Wayfarer's Bauble being cracked. Then it's Guardian Idol, enters tapped and taps for colourless, can become a 2/2 golem. And we're not getting into another land unfortunately, so we get to turn 4 in the hopes of grabbing another land. Mirror March from the Gruul player now. Vampiric Tutor from Kenrith. And that is during the upkeep. Then playing a Talisman of Hierarchy, and is that going to come into play tapped? It does. So they just tap out for the turn. Mimic Vat for the Orzhov player. And fingers crossed for a land on turn 4 here. And that's, of course, that is when we get into the green mana. So how's about... do we go Smothering Tithe here? I think we're okay to go for Smothering Tithe while there's no blue mana held up. If there's any counter magic over there, then I don't think they're going to use it on a Kodama's Reach. But they will use it on a Smothering Tithe, so we'll go for that. There is Stangg, and let's see how many token copies he gets here. I mean, they'll die to the legendary rule. And he didn't have any luck with the Mirror March anyway. Font of Mythos, that's what you like to see when you get into Smothering Tithe. Oh, and we just had a crazy game against GoGo playing Bazaar of Baghdad. I imagine you've already seen that game by now. And this does count as, yes, it's card draw, so that will trigger the Smothering Tithe as well as the Font of Mythos, which has already given us more treasures, thanks to having the Orzhov player draw some cards. And then it's more ramp over here in Sisay's Ring. And there we go, Smothering Tithe going down to an Oblation over here. So we draw into Chain Reaction and Chromatic Lantern. I think we carry on with the ramp plan here. Had to clear a few cards off the top before we got into another land, so there is a forest. Yeah, let's enchant some lands here. We'll go for Kodama's Reach first. Mountain can go in tapped, and we will play our forest. Let's put the Wild Growth onto the untapped Snow Plains. And then we'll go Overgrowth onto a forest. Done a nice bit of ramping here, and I think we can end the turn with a treasure held up, and we can go for our commander. Now, who do we make the Monarch? We want Billy Kills to go in towards the Orzhov player, I think. And then we can grab back the Monarchy next turn. I don't know if we can play this and put Gift of Immortality on it, but that would be ideal to make this sort of indestructible. We do have quite a few indestructible and pariah effects in the deck. Beast Within going on to the Font of Mythos to take down the group hug shenanigans that I assume are coming from Go-Go here. Then a Sylvan Library for some one-sided card draw. And Billy Kills does in fact go after the Monarchy with Stangg's Twin. So taking that, and he will draw a card at the end of the turn. Bazaar of Baghdad being activated there, and they got rid of Path to Exile, Copy Artifact, and Worn Power Stone. I bet that Copy Artifact was going to go on the Font of Mythos. Anyway, they concentrate on getting their Kenrith, the Returned King, into play. And the haste from this might be relevant because it gives all creatures haste and trample for only 1 mana. So it might be difficult to keep hold of the Monarchy. Athreos Shroud Veiled coming in, so everyone's got their commanders available to them now. And then following things up with a Charming Prince. And that will allow them to scry 2. Athreos putting a coin counter on here, so when that dies, I think it just comes straight back into play. Yeah, return it to the battlefield under your control straight away. Now a Temple Garden might be able to just play that in tap this turn. Let's go for Protector of the Crown and we'll put Gift of Immortality onto it. So that enters and we become the Monarch. And then we go for the Gift of Immortality. And that can hopefully keep the Protector of the Crown in play. Billy Kills is holding up priority here, which is noteworthy, but he's already used the Beast Within. Wouldn't have thought a fight card could do anything for him here. So that lands. We'll just go Temple of the False God in tapped, I think. And then we'll hold back our creatures. Get into Court of Grace, so even if we do lose the Monarchy, we can grab it back next turn. There, unfortunately that got Chaos Warped straight away, the enchantment, so yeah, so much for that plan. Got into another land, which is exactly what you want with Chaos Warp. Nakatal War Pride now, and we really don't want a bunch of copies of this. Unfortunately, the bad luck continues over there with the Mirror March because he doesn't get any copies of it. Can't swing in with these either because we'll just get some plus counters on Jared and the rest of the damage will be dealt to this. So no point turning sideways for them there. Everflowing Chalice with 3 counters being placed on it there. Then in 4 Phyrexian Metamorph, so Protector of the Crown. Giving Go-Go the Monarchy. And we can grab that straight back with either Emberwild Captain or the Court of Grace. Probably go for the Court of Grace. Now Selfless Spirit. Creatures you control gain Indestructible. That might be relevant with our Chain Reaction. They don't actually have a lot of creatures to protect at the moment, unfortunately. Alright, but now they do with a Ravenous Chupacabra. It is pointing itself at Go-Go's Phyrexian Metamorph. Might be worried about some flicker shenanigans, or maybe they're just attempting to keep the Monarchy off of the group hug player. Or maybe that was their plan. They want a Phyrexian Metamorph under the Mimic Vat. That'd be pretty good. And they do put the Metamorph under the Mimic Vat. Then swing in the 2-2 in at Go-Go. That will come straight back into play thanks to the Athreos. And they decide to block with the Beast anyway. Don't want to take the 2 damage. And the Charming Prince does come into play. They flickered the Ravenous Chupacabra. Apologies, the client's lagging a little bit. And they flickered the Ravenous Chupacabra with the Charming Prince. And now going for the Twin. So that is one less creature to worry about there. That forces them to sacrifice Stangg as well. Alright, now a Nature's Law for us. Let's drop a land. We've got 13 mana available to us if we want to use the treasure. Let's go for the Court of Grace, I think. And that will allow us to take the Monarchy from our opponent. And then let's drop ourselves a Celestia land, I think, with the Nature's Law. We'll go for the Savannah. And with that, I think we're okay to go for Sphere of Safety. We do have some Enchantress cards in here, plenty of Enchantress cards actually, to keep us in card draw, but haven't gotten into them yet, unfortunately. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 enchantments in play though, so it's 4 generic mana that has to be paid per creature that wants to swing in at us. Oh, Nyxbloom Ancient with mana untapped, so that is 3, 6, 9 and 12 mana still available. And that's not legendary, so they might get a bunch of copies of it here. Now, unfortunately, the bad luck continues with this thing. Still has triple mana on each of his lands, though. And then makes a forest and taps that down for 3 green immediately. Tapping a lot of mana into something here. A Green Sun Zenith where X is 11. And with that, they decided to go for Avenger of Zendikar. Got a lot of plant tokens here. They've already made their land for the turn, though. 9 plant tokens per Avenger of Zendikar that comes in, and still, that is 4 times now that they haven't gotten anything with the Mirror March. Now, the Orzhov player being attacked by Nakatal War Pride. This might help get rid of their Selfless Spirit here, which should help us open up a Chain Reaction, because I'm very much liking the idea of Chain Reaction at this point, with all of the plant tokens. Making 3 copies of the Nakatal War Pride, of course. All of them going in at the Orzhov player still. And yeah, the Orzhov player not reading the card there. All of these have to be blocked, unfortunately. Exactly 1 creature, if able, has to block it. So all of these going down. They probably just sack the Selfless Spirit in order to try and keep their cards in play. It will keep them from flickering anything with the Charming Prince, though. Alright, and they decide not to put the Selfless Spirit under the Mimic Vat as well. That's really good, because they could have gone for that at instant speed and protected their stuff. And been knocked down to 34. Their stuff was made indestructible, of course, so these creatures survived that battle. And we've got a count here. Oh, that's good. It actually gives you a count of the number of creatures on the battlefield. So, saves us counting it up. That is 18. So we'll have exactly 21 on a Jared, which means we can choose who we take out next turn, potentially, assuming that the Chain Reaction doesn't get countered. Baghdad getting activated again. Duskmantle Seer, a land, and Thran Dynamo goes in the bin. And no attacks. Now, Mimic Vat, I dare say, will make a copy of the Nyxbloom Ancient. They've got 3 cards in hand over there. And yeah, they bring down Metamorph as a copy of the Ancient. Oh, and a Debtor's Knell, that's a good one. I'm not sure if there's anything really good in the graveyards yet. Creature-wise, there's a Duskmantle there. No creature there. We don't have a creature either. So that's just a means for them to get back their Selfless Spirit, pretty much, at this point. It also animates their Athreos. Then a Sign in Blood will take them up to 3 cards. Destroy all creatures and all permanents attached to creatures. That's unfortunate. We might still be able to go for Jared. Oh, and that was what I was wondering about, actually. Heroic Intervention, okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about the mana being held up over here. If we go for Chain Reaction, are they going to have Heroic Intervention? And apparently they will. Yeah, Go-Go is going to have himself draw a card before Kenrith goes down. So I think we can still get down Jared and play the Chain Reaction. So our plan isn't really foiled all that much here. I think they might knock Devotion off of their own commander as well, actually. And then it is Costly Plunder as an additional cost. Sack a creature or an artifact, draw 2 cards. They sacrificed their Charming Prince, which will come back with Athreos. And again, they are flickering the Ravenous Chupacabra. So obviously aiming to get rid of something here, probably the Nyxbloom Ancient. This is fine with me, we're looking at wiping the board next turn anyway. So if they want to use all their cards to deal with each other, that's fine. Kenrith drawing another card in response to that. So the Chupacabra will come down at the end of the turn. Oh, it is at the end of the turn though, isn't it? It's not straight away, so these will still be indestructible. So the Ravenous Chupacabra can't do anything with those. They're obviously just trying to save it and keep it in play, because the board wipe will occur and then this will come down afterwards. I imagine that's what their plan was there anyway. And we still have the Monarchy after all that, at least. Oh, but that's a point. If we play Jared, that is a problem. If we play Jared, we have to give the Monarchy to someone else, don't we? Ugh. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So maybe we just have to play Jared and leave it for another turn. So the Ravenous Chupacabra comes back with the Charming Prince, which reanimates the Athreos. We get an Angel here, because we're still the Monarch. And another land, unfortunately. I think we just have to get our Jared down and carry on with the chain reaction plan. We'll just have to hope that Billy Kills doesn't buff the plants enough to have them survive a chain reaction. I highly doubt they will, because chain reaction is going to do a lot of damage. So let's go for our commander again. And we'll give the monarchy to Go-Go this time, because he seems to be struggling on cards a bit more. And then why not get down the archetype of aggression. I doubt it's going to keep the trample, but the trample probably isn't going to be relevant if we're setting up a chain reaction, knocking someone out of the game here. So let's just go Verdant Catacombs. We can get another piece of red mana with that. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that, I think. We'll use this thing to grab the Monarch at the beginning of our next turn during the first main phase, and then that sets us up nicely for chain reaction. Garrick's Pack Leader coming from the Gruul player, and 5th time is not a charm. I'm starting to wonder if this thing is bugged now. I mean, yeah, probability states that you can miss 100 in a row, but when you miss 5 it does make you wonder a little bit, especially with it being Magic Online. Anyway, the Helm of the Host comes down now, and they are going to get themselves a copy of Avenger of Zendikar. Oh, Second Harvest, wow. Maybe they would have wanted to wait for that. Although they probably would have broken the client. If they'd gotten down a token copy of this from the Helm of the Host, they would have copied the Avenger of Zendikar tokens as well, which would have made 1,000,000 plants, but yeah, like I said, that probably would have broken the client. Anyway, they do make a land there. Now Helm of the Host will trigger at the beginning of combat. The more tokens they make, the better our chain reaction is going to be. They'll draw a card when the Avenger comes into play, the copy of it. So we've got these coming in at us. I think that is 4 1/2 plants. And then some going in at Go-Go as well. Yeah, just blocking a plant with each of them. They don't have a fetch or anything like that. 3 cards in hand and no mana. They've already made their land for the turn, so yeah, we'll block like that. Now it's round 2 Go-Go's turn again. I'm hoping that the Orzhov player is going to be distracted by everything that Billy Kills is doing here. He's probably going to get the Charming Prince back, flicker the Ravenous Chupacabra, and blow up the Nyxbloom Ancient. Okay, a Fevered Visions from Go-Go. And activating the land again, so that is Lightning Bolt and some lands going in the bin. I'll hammer its archive, that's really good. Especially with the Bazaar of Baghdad, you will draw 4 and discard 3, so it's actually card advantage for you then. Fevered Visions will draw him a couple of cards as well. Now round 2 the Orzhov player. Debtor's Knell triggers. Alright, going for one of our cards instead. They grab themselves the Protector of the Crown to make themselves the Monarch. Luckily we can make ourselves the Monarch next turn anyway, either by swinging in or casting this thing. We'll probably just swing in at whoever the Monarch is. Although we want to swing in for lethal damage at someone really, don't we? So yeah, maybe we just use this as the Sacrificial Lamb to get the Monarch. Then deciding against swinging in, Athreos will put a counter on something. And deciding to try and keep themselves in the monarchy by putting a coin counter on here. And another land for us. Wow, I really need to get into the Enchantresses, but we're not having any luck, unfortunately. So that means that we have to go for Emberwild Captain. That gives us the Monarch. We'll just have to try our luck here. Go for the chain reaction, and we should get a lot of counters on Jared here. But it might be that they shoot the Jared and then everything gets wiped anyway. Priority's still being held over there. Okay, but allowing it through. So we've now got a 41/41 commander. Let's see if they decide to keep the Mimic Vat under here, or if they go for something else. Or the Metamorph under the Mimic Vat, I should say. The Monarchy will come back under the Orzhov player's control. I think I think they might have something to get rid of our Jared, so I think that forces us to go in towards Billy Kills. Probably should have waited on casting this as well if we were just going to board wipe, because we could do with trample on this now as well. The Orzhov player should wait to see where we swing in before doing anything to us. I like the card draw that Go-Go's allowing us, so I am going to go in at Billy Kills. We need to start drawing into something that isn't a land. We're not going to be the Monarch, unfortunately, but yeah, we'll go in at Billy Kills. Argument to be made for us going in at the Orzhov player anyway, and testing to see if they've actually got something. Maybe it should have been a 3-on-1 there, because there's some good stuff going on here from the Orzhov player. They kept the Metamorph under here, by the way. Drop a land. We'll crack this for red and green. And that has to be us done, I think. We draw a card with the Fevered Visions, and of course it's a land, it's just one of those games, unfortunately. Got to see a little glimpse of what we want to do with this deck at least. Skyscribing. Each player draws X cards. X is 8. Maybe should have brought this in untapped. In response to that, the Orzhov player is doing something. It is Mimic Vat becoming a copy of something. An artifact or a creature. Maybe Alhamrit's Archive. Yeah, they go for their own Alhamrit's Archive, so it's 8 cards for me and 16 for these two. Oh, but why didn't that work? Something happened there? They should have been able to make a copy of that. The legendary rule only applies to your side of the field now. That's a shame if the Orzhov player got screwed out of cards there. I mean, they still get 8, so there's hardly any complaints to be made there. Wow, and look at all the lands that were on top there. We've got Serra's Sanctum at least. Still no Enchantress cards though. I think the game plan is just Archon of Sun's Grace along with Serra's Sanctum and Pyrohemia then. And Pyrohemia is the main reason that Chromatic Lantern's in here, so that we can just dump a bunch of red mana into it. Makes our commander huge and wipes the board all at once. If we can keep the Monarch, that is. Then draws another couple of cards with Fevered Visions. Go-Go is up to 21 cards in hand, down from 0 a turn or two ago. Well, that's a pretty good recovery. Now over to Athreos' turn again. Debtor's Knell will continue. And they go after the Ravenous Chupacabra again with that. And that goes after our Jared, so I think we play that again next turn. Pointed at Go-Go, and hopefully it'll become a 2v1. Now, exiling some stuff, getting rid of our Sphere of Safety, and Alhamrit's Archive with Crush Contraband. And then Odric, Lunarch, Marshall after that. What keywords have we got? Indestructible, I think that's it actually. Yeah, just Indestructible at this point. Wayfarer's Bauble as well. Odric triggers at the beginning of combat. They swing both of these in at us. Enlightened Tutor in response to the Fevered Visions and all the other triggers on the stack over here. The Enlightened Tutor coming from Go-Go, by the way. And he has to reveal what he goes for with that. And it was a Sculpting Steel. Enters as a copy of any artifact on the field. What is their aim there? Maybe they've got something in hand that they'd like to copy. The only thing of interest really is the Mimic Vat, I think. Anyway, watch us draw another land here. Oh no, an Austere Command, that's not terrible. Yeah, we could wipe out all of the creatures here. Let's drop ourselves a Serra's Sanctum. And then I think the aim here is Archon of Sun's Grace and Brave the Sands to get a couple of flyers into play. I think we might have to go for... Do we go Artifacts? Artifacts and big creatures? I mean, the Debtor's Knell is still a problem, but I don't want to lose our ramp. And I don't want to lose the Fevered Visions either, because we're drawing so terribly. So let's go like that. Go for the Austere Command on big creatures and artifacts. Cauldron Haze, that's not one you see very often. Choose any number of target creatures, each of them gain Persist. Yeah, that's really good, so... yeah, all of these will come in with Persist. Well, actually, that wouldn't have died anyway, because it's indestructible. Yeah. Well, we got it out of their hand at least. We still get rid of the artifacts, and they can't point the Ravenous Chupacabra at anything that's relevant, really. So getting rid of our spirit. And they become the Monarch, and they get their Protector of the Crown back, thanks to the coin. So the only thing we've managed to do there is get a card out of their hand, really. I think we just have to take the monarchy away from them and give it to Go-Go. Then we'll go for Archon of Sun's Grace as well, and hope that they don't make use of that Ravenous Chupacabra to kill it off. Yeah, the aim of this card is if we've got the monarchy and someone does an alpha swing at us, we can redirect all the damage onto Jared and make it huge. Smothering Tithe coming in for Go-Go now, haven't drawn into ours again. And then a Temple Bell for some more group hug stuff. Just more mana for us, unfortunately. Then it looks like they're going for something with the treasure tokens they just made. And yeah, it's another Temple Bell. So allowing us to draw again, we're probably just going to get into a land. Destiny Spinner this time. Now Dimir Aqueduct coming in. We'll bounce a land. We just have to hope that the Orzhov player doesn't get into any flyers. Debtor's Knell will continue to be an issue. What have they got in the bin now? Oh, an Ashen Rider, good. Yeah, maybe should have gone for enchantments after all, because that Debtor's Knell is doing a lot of work. Maybe they go for Smothering Tithe. Yeah, go for Smothering Tithe there, just in case anyone wheels. Helm of the Host now. Probably goes on Ashen Rider, I would think. Nope, going on the Athreos. Odric gives everything flying and indestructible now, so... yeah, exactly what we didn't want to happen does happen. They get a flyer into play. I think this is the Orzhov players to win. They're going to give all of their stuff flying and indestructible, which makes it really difficult for us to take the Monarch away from them. We get the real copy of Athreos, and everything else goes in and steals the monarchy away from Go-Go. And there we go, they take the monarchy away from them. They've only got one blocker held back at least. Coin counters will keep things in play though, and that's the problem. I think they definitely put one on the Ashen Rider. We just need to try and get a bunch of commander damage through and get rid of the Orzhov player. I think that's our only shot at this point. And that would have been really good, but unfortunately the Ashen Rider is indestructible thanks to the Odric, so they just get a free ape there. That would have been really good before the Odric triggered and gave everything indestructible. Anyway, a coin being placed on here to keep the monarchy, one being placed on there. Now, this is where it might be relevant that we discarded the Chromatic Lantern previously, because we'd really like to go off with Pyrohemia at some point. Yeah, just more mana for us. It's just not going to work out for us, I don't think. No haste, no means of going wide on our opponent. So let's just make red mana with Arid Mesa and the Bazaar of Baghdad being activated. Putting away a Fabricate, Talisman of Creativity and a Thespian Stage. Yeah, so like I was saying, the fact that we dropped the Mana Crypt or the Chromatic Lantern earlier on is potentially going to be relevant here, because we could keep creatures out of play. Yeah, that's the problem. Ashen Rider is going to come back in. It's going to leave play, probably exile the Pyrohemia and then come straight back in, but that might give Go-Go the opening to wipe everything more permanently. So I think that's what we have to go for here. Odric makes everything flying and indestructible. Let's just gain a bit of life to Go-Go. Want to team up with Go-Go, but I also want to gain a smidge of life before we lose our Pegasus creature. So let's just drop the Mana Crypt. We'll go for Pyrohemia here, and we'll try and get rid of some of these coin counters. We'll have to do the Pyrohemia during Go-Go's upkeep, so that the indestructible is knocked off. So let's play the Pyrohemia. That makes a Pegasus, not that it's relevant. Might as well go after the 3 visits as well. Try and thin out the deck at least a little bit. And then we'll go Brave the Sands. We can only put 4 red mana into the Pyrohemia. Yeah, so we get rid of some things at least. But again, sort of kicking myself over the Chromatic Lantern. This is one of those cards that people have been saying isn't all that good and that it's actually overrated, which I really don't understand. The reason that I put this in decks is because it's really good with Ancient Tomb and cards like that. Swords to Plowshares going on to Odric, that helps things along. Let's see what we draw into here. Right, a Swiftfoot Boots, that... yeah, I think the Ashen Rider is going at the Pyrohemia anyway. Yeah, the Swiftfoot Boots might be relevant a bit later on. And we draw into Hall of Heliod's Generosity. We'll draw another card here. And it's Lightning Greaves. Yeah, I'm just drawing into everything in the wrong order pretty much. But yeah, what was I saying? The Chromatic Lantern, I hope my opponent doesn't play a creature here, because I do intend on going for Pyrohemia. I'll just do it now, whilst they've got that activated. Go Pyrohemia there. That gets rid of our Jared. And then the Athreos will trigger and bring some stuff back. So they get the Monarchy back, although I think they had it anyway, didn't they? But it knocks a coin off. And yeah, we've only got one red mana available. But yeah, this is being deemed as an overrated card for some reason, and people, their argument against it is just, oh, build a better mana base. Well, it's yeah, it's not necessarily just for fixing your mana base. That's not what you should use this for. It's really good in situations like this, where you need a lot of black mana or a lot of red mana, in things like Niv Mizzet Perun, for instance. Anyway, Gilded Lotus coming down now. Doesn't look as though Go-Go has anything to deal with this stuff before it gets coin counters on it again. But yeah, Chromatic Lantern being overrated, I really don't see that. It doesn't accelerate you too much, but it does give you all the colours you'll ever need, which can be relevant. Clever Impersonator, exiling the Debtor's Knell, probably. I don't know, that's a tricky one, because the Ashen Rider's just going to come straight back. Yep, they do go after the Debtor's Knell, that's probably what I would have done. And then Walking Archive. Defender enters with a plus counter on it. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player draws for each plus counter on it, and for 4 you can place one on there. The Ozolith coming into play now, that's a means of keeping coin counters on stuff. Merciless Executioner, that gets rid of our Archon. Alright, and it's noteworthy that they did not sacrifice their Merciless Executioner there. We've still got a red mana held up for Pyrohemia, so we could still go for that. And take them off of one more creature. And that's clever. They've got the token copy of Athreos, and when it gets deanimated, it stays over here as an enchantment. So they've got even more coin counters to distribute now. Anyway, Ashen Rider going on to the Helm of the Host. And then the other Ashen Rider from this side of the field goes on to the Walking Archive. And then Athreos is going to bring back the Ashen Rider, unfortunately. I would imagine they'd point that at Pyrohemia. And they do. So let's get rid of their Merciless Executioner. And thanks to it dying, a coin counter has gone on the Ozolith. Felidar Guardian coming down now. Yeah, it's definitely the Orzhov players to win this. Hopefully they can do it pretty quickly. Flickering the Archon. And this time getting rid of Gilded Lotus. Then at the beginning of combat the Ozolith will trigger. And the damage is coming in my way this time. This is 10 damage that we're going to receive. Then at the end, putting a coin counter on here. And one on the Felidar Guardian as well. So it's going to be really, really tough to deal with their board state at this point. Enlightened Tutor, draw into that a bit too late. I think it just has to be our commander again here. Give the Monarchy to Go-Go. Then we'll play out the Swiftfoot Boots. Put that onto our Jared. And we can't become the Monarch this turn, so we couldn't steal it away from Go-Go, even if we wanted to, which I do not. We'll play Lightning Greaves. Put the Greaves onto our commander, just in case they blow one of those equipments up. Let's go Destiny Spinner as well. Just for the sake of having a blocker, we'll play the Hall of Heliod's Generosity as well. And we just have to hope that we can do something with Enlightened Shooter. I can't think of anything that I would want to grab with that, to be honest. It's a bit too late to be getting into Enchantress effects and all that. Turn 12 and we haven't seen a single one. Anyway, Fevered Visions draws us another land most likely. Yeah, almost. Now the group hug continues, drawing us all a card. And there's Blasphemous Act. I don't think it's going to do it for us, unfortunately. And there's the card draw, Sylvan Library. Bazaar of Baghdad, once again. And what's in there now? There is Fate Unraveller, so there's a bit of draw pain in here. Mirror Maid, and a load of talismans. Stolen Identity. So there goes the Ashen Rider again. Don't think this really does much of anything, unfortunately. Could really do with a Return to Dust or something like that to get rid of the Athreoses. And then we might be able to get rid of these more permanently. But Athreos has just been allowed too much time to chain off here. Well, they do go for the token copy, that's good. That's less coin counters at least. And then there's their Chromatic Lantern. Puppeteer Click for more reanimation shenanigans now. That gets them into a clone effect, which is Clever Impersonator, probably another Ashen Rider. This game's playing out very much like the previous one. And they make a copy of Ashen Rider. They get rid of our opponent's Ashen Rider with the copy of their own. And then I think they have to sacrifice it with this, don't they? You exile it, so at least they won't get the other exile effect with this. Because it's exile and not sacrifice. And we are down to 6 life now, unfortunately. Where are we? That is those two going in at go-go. We've got a 5-5 and another 5-5, so I think we have to finally go for this Gideon sacrifice here. Not what it's intended to be used for, but we'll go for it like this anyway. Put it on the Spirit. And hopefully the Orzhov player doesn't have removal for the Spirit, because we're just going to take it here. Like I said, not what it was intended for, but it's just a bit of insurance there. So the Monarchy going back over to the Orzhov player. And getting through to the end of the turn here, I don't see what we can do here, to be honest. They're going to draw some cards anyway. They put the coin on the Clever Impersonator. Now, do you need Athreos in play in order to make the coins work? I think you do. Yeah, I think if we get rid of Athreos somehow, we can still potentially give our opponent a headache. Anyway, that gets exiled to the Puppeteer Click, and then it comes back down as another Puppeteer Click. Comes back with the coin counter. And that did get exiled, which means it leaves play, so the Ozolith gets a coin counter on it as well. And now they are going after Gogo's Fate Unraveller. Yeah, so we've truly had our Monarchy switched off, unfortunately, by Protector of the Crown. I'm just going to try my luck with the Enlightened Shooter. I don't see what we can grab with this. But like I said, I will try my luck. We could get rid of our opponent's commander with Song of the Dryads or something like that. But I don't think it necessarily helps us. We could go for something like Court of Ire, because we really need the Monarchy in order to do anything. Problem is we only get to draw one card. Yeah, Gogo can't help us on that front. So maybe we're just helping Gogo to do something potentially. Yeah, let's go for Song of the Dryads here. Although Song of the Dryads, as soon as Ashen Rider goes down, it would have to be exiled. If they exile Ashen Rider, then they can't get rid of Song of the Dryads. We'll just have to try and help Gogo along, I think. And then we draw a card, which means we have a damage dealt to us by the Fate Unraveller. So let's drop a Plains. We'll go for the Sol Ring, because there's no reason not to. And then might as well go for the Song of the Dryads onto their commander. As soon as we die, that will go down as well, but it might help Gogo to do something. Let's go for the Blasphemous Act. And Jared can go back in the command zone. A bunch of coin counters being put on the Ozolith. And Puppeteer Click will get to persist and bring some stuff back into play. It'll only be until the end of the turn though. And then Ashen Rider, as you would think, going on Song of the Dryad, so they'll get their commander back. And Puppeteer Click will be able to bring things back again. Yeah, if it wasn't for that Ozolith, we'd be able to keep coin counters off of things. When does this trigger, actually? It's at the beginning of combat on your turn. Alright, so Go-Go still has a chance here. Because these things will have to go at the end of the turn. Anyway, making a copy of the Clever Impersonator, or with Clever Impersonator making a copy of the Click. And then that one entering brings back the Protector of the Crown. So we just need to hope that Go-Go can get into a board wipe next turn, because hopefully that will be able to keep everything out of play. Although this one doesn't have a persist counter on it, does it? Okay, so can we even cast our commander again? We certainly can. We'll get that back in and give Go-Go the Monarchy again. Draws him a card at the end of the turn, which might not be too useful, but it takes it away from the Orzhov player at least. Let's play a Sylvan Library just for the sake of it. Can't believe we haven't gotten into any Enchantress cards this game. Put both the equipments on there, and I suppose we can hold up Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Don't really think that we want to go for anything in the bin with that. And Teferi's Protection, that buys us another turn. A Bribery on the Orzhov player. They grab themselves a Flicker-Wisp. I'm not sure what they're doing with that. Return card to the battlefield under your control. They're flickering. Is it a card you own? Exile. Oh, it's any target permanent. Alright. And then it's Moonlight Bargain from the Orzhov player. Look at the top 5 cards and put them into your graveyard unless you pay 2 life. Yeah, so you get 5 cards into hand for 10 life and 5 mana basically. But the aim is here to get the Clever Impersonator back under Go-Go's control. Not sure what he will do with that. Okay, only put 1 card into hand with that spell. The rest went in the bin. It was a Felidar Guardian, Phyrexian Rebirth, so we assume he's got another board wipe. Couple of lands. Ashen Rider is in the bin, not in hand. Yeah, Firemine Vessel, so just getting rid of some stuff there. And there we go, that deanimates the Athreos. Now it's card draw. When does it come back into play over here? At the beginning of the next end step, they will get the Clever Impersonator. We draw another card here. And it's a land. Don't know if Shield of the Oversoul is going to be relevant when we can't keep the Monarchy. This needs to get exiled, really, because they've made great use of it. This is the card that's kept us off of the Monarchy all game, really. And it's Kenrith. So maybe Clever Impersonator comes down as Puppeteer Click. Then it's Ashen Rider, perhaps getting rid of the Athreos. Maybe that's the plan. We might beat this Athreos player, yeah. So here we go, at the end of the turn, some card draw. The Flicker-Wisp brings the Clever Impersonator back. Okay, going for Protector of the Crown. I think I would have gone for the Click there, and can you only grab it from your graveyard? No, it has to be an opponent's graveyard, doesn't it? So definitely would have gone for the Ashen Rider there. Anyway, it's back round to the Orzhov player's turn. They keep their commander in play. And the problem is some coin counters get moved around here. And that's not good with Athreos in play. That's why it would have been good to get it out of play there. We'll get some at the beginning of combat with the Ozolith. We'll get one with the Athreos as well. Ozolith putting the coin counters on the Click. So that'll bring it back in without a minus counter on it. And then swinging in the 2-1 at us. We've helped to waste their combat step here at least. I think we have to go for Teferi's Protection here because we might get bolted next turn by the Mana Crypt. So we phase out, and obviously that doesn't deal any damage to us. And Go-Go manages to keep the Monarchy. There's still 10 cards in the Orzhov player's hand. And it's Panharm Monarchon, Fleshbag Marauder, so we won't lose our commander there at least. But they probably get rid of the Click here, so that they can reanimate something. They get 2 sacrifices anyway with Fleshbag Marauder, so putting both back in the bin. So the Ozolith keeps coin counters on it, the Athreos brings back the Puppeteer Click, And Gogo is currently left with a Kenrith. 2 cards being reanimated with the click here, thanks to the Panharmonicon. Yeah, I think it would have made a difference here if Athreos had gone down. Aiming the Puppeteer click, 1 at the Fate Unraveller, and 1 somewhere else. Oh, at the Clever Impersonator. So they can reanimate a bunch of stuff here. Oh no, Clever Impersonator going after Protector of the Crown to take the Monarch back. Surprised that didn't go after the click. Although maybe there's not a lot of things to target in the bin here. Doesn't look as though there is actually. And then that was a Skull Tap. Sacrifice a creature and draw 2 cards. I'm not sure what they sacrifice with that actually. Anyway, goes to the end of the turn. Some stuff gets sacrificed with the Puppeteer click. They probably got rid of the Clever Impersonator, didn't they? Yeah. Sacrifice the Clever Impersonator to the Skull Tap. 9 cards in hand. And even more than that, thanks to the Monarchy and the Fevered Visions. Well, they go down a bunch of cards at least. Just leaving the Puppeteer click in play. Does have a coin counter on it, unfortunately. Still need to get rid of this thing. Now the question is, do we draw an extra card with Sylvan Library and hope that we don't get bolted by Mana Crypt? Oh, it triggers during the draw, so we can see if we get bolted first. That's good. No, we lose the flip, so we go down to 2. That means we can only draw 1 card off of the Sylvan Library. And it is Rhythm of the Wild, way too late for that. Dawnglade Regent, that allows us to become the Monarch. I think we go for that. So we'll put Windswept Teeth and Rhythm of the Wild on top. We will play a land, put Shield of the Oversoul onto our commander. So that gives us a decent flyer. Then we'll put Dawnglade Regent into play as well. That will have us become the Monarch. And a D-Spark going on there before we get the chance to equip it up with anything. So very well played by our opponent. They don't want us to have any means of hexproof. But we still get the Monarchy at least, and we can still swing in with Jared. The only problem is, Puppeteer click, what can it bring back? It can bring back our Archetype of Aggression, our Destiny Spinner. There's the Clever Impersonator, which I don't think is relevant. And I don't think there's anything else in here that it can go for. Oh, there's Kami as well. Yeah, so there's nothing incredible that they can grab with it, I don't think. So I think there's a Duskmantle Seer as well. Yeah, I think we just swing into it. Again, I'm just trying to help Gogo along at this point. Would be really good to get into a Shadow Spear at this point, but we have to survive the Mana Crypt. They do decide to block, so this will come in without Persist, I think. It will knock the coin counter off it at least, so again, it gives Gogo a chance to do something about it permanently. We get 3+ counters on our Jared, which has Flying and Indestructible. Oh, and it came back in with Persist as opposed to the coin counter, alright. I don't know if it always works like that or if our opponent just stacked it wrong. I think you can choose between the minus counter and it coming back in with the coin. They are going after, I forgot about that one, Emberwild Captain. So they can take the Monarchy back there. Oh, they get 2 things, don't they? They get the Clever Impersonator as well. Luckily, I'm not expecting to win this one at all. And another Puppeteer click enters. And that one goes after Archon of Sun's Grace. Yeah, a lot of creatures I missed here. Kind of squinting, looking at all these. They grab our Archetype of Aggression as well. Like I said, not all that worried about what they grab. Although I did miss some creatures there. So they become the Monarch with the Emberwild Captain. Noteworthy as well that because of Persist, the minus counters go on to the Ozolith as well. So if they want to dump coin counters on something, they have to be careful of these minus counters as well. Okay, so at this point, let's just go for Shroud onto our commander. Are we going to want to target our commander? We might want to target it, so I'm just going to keep Shroud off of it actually. We don't know what we're going to draw into over here. Drawing with Temple Bell now. Fevered Visions will get us next time if we keep all these cards in hand. And now looking at a new card. get into that Smothering Tithe again. Then the Bazaar of Baghdad for Go-Go. Anyway, Go-Go with 9 cards in hand. Not sure if he can do anything or not. Seems to be going through to the end of the turn. Ozolith triggers during combat. Our opponent might be able to get us here, or they'll probably be able to get me. I don't know about Go-Go, he might have some answers. Now a coin counter going on the other Monarch Enabler. So all these 3 going in at us. Looks like we go down here. Really could have done with the Shadow Spear at some point to gain a bit of life. The 3/4 goes in at us as well, and that is a life linker. All of these have trample. They will lose these creatures though, at least, when they take us down, so that should make things easier for Go-Go. Go-Go gets the Commander and the 3/2. So let's just go through to blocks. We will block... what helps Go-Go out, because we're done either way here. These go down with us. That is the Clever Impersonator, which will come back in with Persist, so we'll get rid of that one. Alright, so the Spirit can get rid of the one with a Persist counter on it already. That can go on this one. And the other creatures go down with us, so we'll put a minus counter on this. It doesn't have a coin counter on it, so it's not going to come back with any other means, but if it has a minus counter on it, then that's a better means of getting rid of it permanently. Go-Go just passing through the blocks. Doesn't look like he has anything. Oh, actually, I could have blocked... Oh, I forgot all about Brave the Sands. I never play this card. I could have blocked an additional creature. Ugh. Yeah, what's that? Multiple creature... That's 4 creatures coming in at us. I could have blocked all of them. Oh, that's annoying. Could have had another turn there. I mean... Might have gone down to the Mana Crypt anyway, but maybe another turn would have been all we needed. Go-Go might have something for us here. Yeah, I need to remember about that Brave the Sands. Oh, and forgot about the life gain as well. Kenrith might be able to help us by keeping us in play with 5 life. I think we might still go down anyway there. Yeah, really annoyed at myself for forgetting about the Brave the Sands. Yeah, go down to 0 exactly. Could have gained the 5 life and stayed in it there. And I think the Mana Crypt would have... it couldn't have taken us out even if we did get bolted. So apologies for that. Could have stayed in it for another turn. Well, I don't feel too bad about losing that game. I'm surprised we could stay in it for as long as we could with the awful draws that we made. Go-Go can do here. He gets the Clever Impersonator back under his own control. It comes back in with Persist, so you've got an enchantment there with a minus counter on it, thanks to Persist. And that cleans up the Orzhov player's board quite nicely. They've got 8 cards in hand, unfortunately, which is because they're against a Group Hug player deck. Beacon of Unrest from the Orzhov player, and here we go again with Ashen Rider. Yeah, there's been a distinct lack of exile in this game. So Kenrith going down to the Ashen Rider. And the Ashen Rider gets to exile a couple of things, so going after the Chromatic Lantern as well. Kenrith just gained 5 life there. Oh, and I didn't realise the Orzhov player is down to a very low clock there, so Go-Go might be able to time him out here. That's the problem. As resilient as this Athreos deck has been, and it's been very resilient, it's a very good Athreos deck, they haven't really been able to do much of anything apart from remove everyone's stuff. They haven't been getting any closer to a win other than that. Anyway, Kenrith goes down to the Ashen Rider. And then it is Minion's Return. When it dies, return it to the battlefield under your control. So that's more Ashen Rider shenanigans. And it died to an Altar's Reap, so draw 2 cards. And then Ashen Rider gets to exile more stuff, so this looks like the beginning of the end for Go-Go if Athreos can win it before the clock goes down at just under 4 minutes at the moment. I think Ashen Rider, yeah, it's any permanent, so they can go after lands with that. In fact, they have started going after lands. There is an Aqueduct and a Boilerworks. I think at turn 14, lands are fair game. Then it's more card draw triggers. Puppeteer Click will not exile this because it's a different copy of Ashen Rider now. It gets a coin counter on it to keep it in play. Only 19 cards in the deck over here, 29 left here. Now let's see, Gogo has way more time on the clock, 40 minutes, compared to just over 2.5 minutes. So he may be able to do something else here. Just getting into Kenrith again. And if he can untap and gain enough life with the Kenrith, then it kind of negates any damage that the Ashen Rider can deal, which just buys Gogo even more time. So yeah, we'll see with a full grip what the Orzhov player can do here. A sack outlet ought to do it. Ashen Rider going into the red zone. 2 minutes 22 left. Fevered Visions will deal 4 damage to them in total because they've got a lot of cards in hand. And then it is a route which is an instant speed board wipe. So getting rid of all the creatures in play, trying to keep them from gaining life with Kenrith, I imagine. And that will bring their Ashen Rider back into play. Don't know if they can afford their Kenrith again now. Down to 1 minute and 20 though. The more triggers they put on the stack, the more they have to pass through. And they've got 3 attacks to go for yet. Still going after the lands with the Ashen Rider. They get 2 exiles when it enters, don't forget. Well, all the Orzhov player should really do now is go through to attacks every turn. Like I said, they need 3 attacks. Gogo is going for some card draw to see if he can do anything here. Any kind of removal for the Ashen Rider would be good because there's no other means for Athreos to actually get combat damage through to them. Alright, but Gogo deciding to be respectful to his opponent there, that's very admirable. And yeah, I imagine he could have timed out his opponent there, but decided to give the victory over to the Athreos player, who was very much deserved in this game. Very much deserved win from the Athreos player. You can have a look through their hands here if you want to. Yeah, I think I threw away the game there. That was a classic example of putting a card in your deck for one reason and completely forgetting about the other thing that the card does. Brave the Sands, I put in there for Vigilance because it's really good with our commander. Forgot completely that it allows you to block an additional creature each combat. So there was the combat where we had a spirit in play and I apparently wasted the Gideon card in redirecting damage to the spirit when we could have just chump blocked 2 creatures with the spirit card. But most importantly, at the end of on our last turn there, I could have blocked all 4 creatures that were coming in at us. We would have piled a bunch of plus counters onto Jared and lost the other creature that was in play. I think that was a spirit as well. We might have still gone down to the Fevered Visions and the Mana Crypt, but we'll never know now. I should have survived that combat step, but that was just me misremembering what Brave the Sands does. So apologies for that. Be sure to leave the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you did enjoy it anyway. Leave us a comment for commanders that you would like to see from Commander Legends, and I will see you all in the next one, I hope. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.